And we are live. What's good, people? It's your man DL Saint. Oh, it is Friday. Um, yeah, I am. I'm gonna talk about the latest Texas shooting. It's horrible, horrible. Some unstable young boy took assault weapons, and went into an elementary school and did the unthinkable, which we would, we call it unthinkable, but it happens so much these days. It happens too much these days. I'm sorry, I was messing around with the studio earlier, and sorry about that, guys. I don't know if you guys can hear that or not, but I had to turn my microphone around. Um, it's horrific. It happens way too much. We don't know what to do. Unfortunately, people turn this into talking points. It's midterms, so all this is going to become an election thing, talking points. Um, but I mean, it's just horrific. As a single father, I can only imagine what those parents must be going through, and what all of these parents have gone through over the years here in America, with these unstable, mostly men, young men, taking firearms and just slaughtering innocents, and especially in this case, elementary age children. Uh, 19 children were lost, two adults, uh, one shooter. And I'm always talking about my daughter. I'm a single dad. I love being a father. I drop my daughter off every day at school. I pick my daughter up every day at school. Every time I drop her off, there's a thought in the back of my mind that this might be the last time I see my daughter. Every time I drop her off, I tell her I love her. Every time we wave goodbye, and in the back of my mind, I'm thinking, this could be the last time I see my child. That's horrible. That's horrible. And I mean, you talk about feeling helpless. You talk about, you know, like this thought, and you can't not have it. I mean, for those people who are like, well, I don't like to talk about things like that. Simply because you're running away from it, you want to hide from it, doesn't mean it's not so. And I choose not to hide from things like that. I mean, it is what it is. I choose not to hide. But horrific, horrific. So of course, this is an ongoing story, and news comes out daily. I mean, it takes time. It takes time to get these stories out. So what's being reported now? Uh, this is NPR, and this is part of an article that came out uh, May 26th, 5:30 a.m. So today, and it talks about the massacre that lasted at least 40 minutes. I mean, it's information in there. Of course, they always go over the facts whenever they come in. Sometimes there are changes that have to be made. Um, you report what you know. They do their best to verify. I mean, I like NPR as a news source. Yes, they lean liberal, they do, but at least they try to verify as much information as they can. They rush like all the other media outlets because they want to get the information out there first, but they do take steps to ensure that they are putting out facts. Um, so, I mean, I like NPR, I like Al Jazeera, I like BBC. For certain stories, I like Fox. For other stories, I'll go to NPR, I'll go to Associated Press. I tend to stay away from CNN. I definitely stay away from MSNBC. You know, way too much opinion. When you look for news source, it would be nice if we had a source that was news, that was strictly news, but everyone wants to put their opinions in there. And It is what it is. But I mean, you just can't go to one source anymore. You have to, you have to vet the people who should be out there vetting people. Miss AKA lady, super busy day, gonna miss the stream, but I want to add, C, the guy said, Charlemagne the guy said a large part of our safety is dependent on human behavior. You can't legislate that. That's a very good point, Miss AKA lady, and shout out to you. One of my day ones, and I know she's real big in the Suzette Speaks world. She's a real one. Salute to you. Salute to you. So I've been hearing this story for the past 24 hours or so. Witnesses shouted at arriving officers to go in. Approximately 40 minutes to an hour passed from when the gunman first arrived at Robb Elementary and fired a shot at a security guard to when he was deleted by Border Patrol agents, according to Associated Press. Witnesses shouted at police to go into school after the gunman, but the officers did not do so initially. You know what I mean? And it goes on. I guess one of the neighbors, Juan Carenas, who lived across the street from the school and saw the gunman pull up in the truck, eventually suggested that the civilians gather outside. Eventually suggested to the civilians gathered outside that they charge the school building as law enforcement waited. And that's according to the Associated Press. Texas Rangers are leading the investigation into the shooting. And that's what Governor Abbott was saying. So, I mean, a lot of people will see that in right away. You know, they don't understand what's going on. Here's the deal, people. Law enforcement, police officers, they're not soldiers. They're not, I've talked about this in a couple of streams. Police officers don't have a whole lot of training, and they don't spend a lot of time on the range, so they're not that familiar with their weapons and certain weapons, especially the longer weapons that they carry. They don't spend that much time on the range. They're not soldiers. Those are just two different missions, two very different missions. So it might not make sense to those who are reading these articles and watching TV news and they discover that law enforcement did not initially rush in. The bottom line is they're not trained to do so. And it's so easy to put yourself in a situation and say, well, I would absolutely run in. A lot of people say they would, but when you're actually faced with that situation, going into that where there's someone with some serious firepower, you don't know what they have, you don't know how much ammunition they have, you don't know what type of training they have. I can see how people wouldn't want to do that. Now, yeah, I would certainly be willing to run in and face the threat, but I'm trained differently. I'm different mentality. Again, but I'm not law enforcement. So you would just imagine that any grown up, any person who has some sort of position of authority would go do what needs to be done. So, I'd say when you see these stories, you read these stories, you hear these things, wait for the investigation to come to an end and wait till you find out exactly what happened. I'm here to tell you, it is not natural to run into danger. I always salute firemen. Always. They run into burning buildings. I mean, those guys and those men and women are incredible to me. They run into a burning building. You can't get me to run into a burning building. I'm sorry. I'll hold the water hose. I'll spray it, but actually run in. Those guys and those men and women are real life superheroes. Police officers, I don't know. Like I said, my big thing is their training. They can definitely use more training. But it takes a lot to run into a firefight. It takes a lot to go into the rounds. Like when those rounds are coming at you, it takes a lot to go into those rounds and do what you have to do. Um, I'm not on the side. If this is true, if they sat around for 40 minutes to an hour not doing anything, that's horrible. Especially we're talking about children. That's horrible. But again, I don't know all the facts. You know, once more of the facts come in, once we know what has gone on, you know, maybe at that point we can say what we're gonna say. Shout out to you, brother Doug. I see you. Over there in Suzette Speaks, holding it down over there. On our side, by our side, I mean on that side of the internet, where folks like us live. On, you know what I mean? Shout out to you, brother. I mean, thanks for listening. Thanks for popping in. Truly honored, man, because I know you be active in the chats, bro, and you be dropping mad facts. But this right here, it happens way too much, and it becomes political talking points. And I hear all this, you know, everything I'm hearing is about firearms, about rifles, handguns. It's about the laws surrounding those. It's about the Second Amendment. It's about, you know, making changes. And, you know, I'm going to get into that. Hopefully my buddy Jswans will be able to jump in here with me. We wanted to do this last night, but things got in the way. We couldn't do it. But I'm not hearing any talk about mental health. I'm not hearing anything about that. Going back to Miss AK Lady's comment, Charlemagne the God was saying, with reference to human behavior, you can't legislate that. You can't. But we can offer services. If we're going to throw money at something, we can throw money to offer services for those people who are troubled. Like Ozzy's in the house. What's good, fam? Thanks for popping in. You know what I mean? Another real one out there in the space. Red pill, blue pill space is going out there dropping gems and giving real facts. You know what I mean? And walking it like it's talks. So respect. What's up to you, brother? We over here talking about the latest massacre. There's no other way to put it. And these things are always bad, but when it involves children, you know what I mean? Something has to be wrong with you to plan something like this out and execute. Why aren't we talking more about coming up with funds so we can help identify people who have these issues? Whenever something like this happens, everyone rushes forward and they tell you how weird, how cringy, like how crazy, you know, this person was. And then all the evidence comes out of stuff that they were talking about. Look what they said. They were going to do this. They were going to hurt people here. They hurt themselves there. They're doing this. They're doing that. This all comes out after the fact. After the fact. You know, there are cases where people did inform others. It was in, I want to say in Michigan. It was either this year or last year, where there was a young boy who had issues, and the teacher reported it up. And the young man, I believe he came to school with a firearm. But before that, the teacher reported it. And it got bounced around in the bureaucracy, and no one really acted on it until it was too late. Why aren't we throwing money at that? Ozzy, you're right, bro. You can't say mental health and be against universal health care. That's an excellent point. That's an excellent point. The most prosperous country, the wealthiest society the world has ever known, and we don't have universal health care. People go broke every day because they get sick. Doesn't make sense. But we hear these stories after the fact about this person, how bad this person was, and how, oh, we all knew something was going to happen. We all knew something like this might happen. Really? Apparently we all didn't know. Because it happens and everyone's shocked. So this young troubled boy You know what I mean? I what he did was cowardly, but in the end, apparently he did engage law enforcement. Which again, you have to be troubled when you know the people are coming. They're geared up like you're geared up. They have the same equipment you have, and you want to, you want to go down blazing. Something's not right. And in this particular case, it's reported that this young boy fired on his own grandmother, and I'm not sure if she survived that attack or not. I just know early on, one of the first few articles I read, he fired on her. He was 18 years old, and apparently within a week or so of his 18th birthday, after becoming 18, he went and legally purchased some firearms, ammunition, and that's where people begin the talking points. Again, something like this is horrific. Absolutely horrific. Like like it's horrible to even have to talk about it, but it really does. It troubles me that all this becomes a political talking point. People garner up their votes, they whip up the votes, they get into office, and then nothing happens. Nothing happens. We sit around, we wait a year. Sometimes we don't even get a whole year. And then another troubled person goes out and does something horrific. And the whole cycle starts over again. I don't understand. I don't understand where we are as a society right now. And my views are a little different. Act Ozzy. I'm curious, DL. Is our expectations of cops exonerated by hero cops in movies and it could be exaggerated. It could be. Are our expectation of cops exaggerated by hero cops in movies and shows? I would say yes. I would absolutely say yes. We've been programmed in a society to believe that, that lone wolf, that hero is going to come and make it happen. So, yeah, they expect him to come in no matter what, weapons blazing into the fire and go save the day. I think we are programmed to believe that, bro. That's a good point. And I'm sending the link real quick to Jswans. I did text it to him, but he's running around. I don't know what's going on with that. But all right, Jswans is sent. Yeah, I mean, and Americans have such a hard time discerning the difference between reality and Hollywood fantasy. Like even on YouTube, like people come, they watch me, and I appreciate the support, and I love the conversations. But DL Saint doesn't exist. That's a name. That's a persona created for this platform. DL Saint is not on my birth certificate. It's not on my social security card. Right. And we have fun and we do things. Like today is definitely a serious topic, but we go out and we do whatever, we act a fool. That's just us having fun. That's make believe. The real world is tough. We all know it. The real world is hard. And not with this extreme stuff, but just every day. Just getting out there, making it, earning enough money to survive, dealing with inflation, trying to make the right decisions, trying to do well by do right by your family, trying to raise your children so they don't grow up to be like these cowards. Right? Trying to, the real world stuff is difficult. It's really, really difficult. So yeah, we sit back and we watch Die Hard and it was like, John McCain comes and saves the day, or you're watching, any of the action movies, Predator or Man on Fire, or, you know what I mean, the Steven Seagal movies, the one he was on a boat. You know, you watch these things and you see this one individual go in and basically wipe out a small army. The world doesn't work that way. The world doesn't work that way. Like when you find yourself in real world situations, you go combat and all that kind of stuff. Good men get chewed up in battle. Leaders out there leading get chewed up in battle. You might one day you might be cowering in the corner, and 4 hours later, you might be the guy who saved the day, and they want to pin medals on you. And you always hear from those men and women who are awarded, but like when you're looking at men, especially Congressional Medal of Honor, they don't want it. They don't want the medal. They accept the medal for those who didn't come back. Real life is hard. So I can't sit here and get mad at law enforcement for being slow to rush into gunfire. I can't be mad. And that's why I speak so highly of firefighters. They run into the fire. They get there, they get their gear out, they go into the fire, and all they're doing is trying to save the home, trying to control the fire, trying to save the other homes on either side. And if there are people in there, they're quicker to get their gear on and run in and try to get these folks out. So, yeah, my hat is always off to firefighters because they literally run into the fire without hesitation. People don't understand what it is. I mean, it's really difficult. Being a police officer is really difficult. You're not getting paid a whole lot of money up front. Let's keep it 100. You're not getting paid a lot of money. Most, especially like these small towns, municipalities and stuff like that, those officers are making like $20 an hour. Right? And even in the big cities where they make a higher wage, they make their money in overtime and doing those special assignments, off-duty stuff. They go and they're off duty and they're doing whatever, private security or whatever they're doing. That's where they make the majority of their money. So you're asking this person to run into a situation. Yo, it's scary. It's scary. Run into a building where you know someone's in there with a weapon, not just any old kind of weapon, a high-powered weapon. You don't know how many they have. You don't know how many rounds they have. You don't know any of this stuff. And then you're thinking about going in there, but you're also thinking about your training. Like, man, I wasn't trained for this. The average soldier, when I was in, the average soldier didn't get trained on how to enter a structure. We were trained to fight a different war. They do that more now because we're fighting in urban environments more. But it was the higher end guys. It was like the tip of the spear dudes when I was in that learned how to go into rooms, go into clear homes. They got that training. The Rangers, the LERPs, the Green Berets, the SEALs, right? The Marine MARSOC guys, Force Recon guys. Those were the people that got that training. I'm here to tell you, man, it's very, very scary. You know, knowing you got to go run into some building, you don't know, you'll go kick this door in and you don't know what's on the other side of that door. So I understand that. And how do you overcome that fear? It's through training. It's through training. I'm not trying to make excuses for those law enforcement officers who did or didn't run into the building. I'm not trying to do that. Again, we don't know all the facts. But like I said, man, it's tough. It's tough. That's a big ask. You know what I mean? Brother Jason, what's good? Yeah, this is scary stuff, brother. And Act, yeah. That's the way I look at it, brother. Brother Act. That's how I look at it. That's how I look at it. Jswans is in the building.
Hey, what's going on?
What's good,
man?
brother? What's happening, man? Yeah, they call that when you're stretching it out a little bit on, you know, like Suzette and them and what's the name of that? The lead attorney, they call that long stroking. I was long stroking until I got you I got you on here before we really got into them the nut bolts.
Is that what they call long? Is that what they call long stroking, bro? That's and the times have definitely changed, brother.
Hey, yeah, it's a brand new world out there, brother. Brand new world. So I was talking about how you didn't see this part of the show, but uh, NPR is reporting and some other outlets are reporting it was about 40 minutes to an hour passed from the time the gunman arrived at the school and fired a shot at, they said security guards, from the time that it was all over. Then they went in and engaged him. And,
40 minutes before they got there?
it was once the law enforcement showed up, it was 40 minutes to an hour before they moved in, before they breached the school.
That's some old bullshit.
That's what's being reported. Now, I'll read it to you real quick. It just says, witness shouted at arriving officers to go in. Approximately 40 minutes to an hour passed from when the gunman first arrived at the elementary school and fired a shot at security guards to when he was deleted by Border Patrol agents, according to Associated Press. Witnesses shouted at police to go into the school after the gunman, but the officers did not do so initially. So apparently there were law enforcement on the scene, armed police on the scene, but they did not go in, behind the shooter.
Well, to me, that sounds like, if you want the politically correct term, that's a lack of training. But the real term is that's some old bullshit. You send little boys to do a man's job. I mean, what kind of human being allows a gunman to go inside a school and shoot kids, and you ain't got the balls to go in there behind him and go get him? What kind of punk ass motherfucker won't put his ass on the line for children, man? Fuck them people. If that's truly what happened, man, fuck them people. They shouldn't be cops no more. I mean, me, I'll call balls and strikes. And and yeah, if you go to a gunfight and you got a handgun, they got a rifle, chances are you're gonna lose. But at very least, you'll be able to distract that motherfucker and get some kids out of there, save some lives, man. Fuck them bitches, man.
Now,
for real.
And that's coming from you. Y'all heard what I said, and Jswans didn't hear me because he's out and about. You can see he's in the car. You heard what he just said. That's what I was thinking. I'm just trying to be political about it. But yeah, like I said, if it were me and I'm armed, I'm going in there again. But we're trained as soldiers. We understand mission. We understand what it takes. And it's like Jswan said. This person they may have on body armor. They may have superior firepower, but you have what you have on you. So you could go in and at least engage. You can keep this shooter trained on you. Every round he throws at you is a round he's not throwing at some child or some helpless teacher. So you got to do that. You have to do that. If you're not willing to do that, why put the uniform on? I keep talking about how firemen literally run into fire every day. Firemen do that. If you're a fireman and you refuse to run into a burning building, why put the uniform on?
Look, man, I like if you carry a gun and you ain't prepared to die, then man, give that motherfucker to somebody who is. You know what I mean? That's real shit. And I understand. I'll give a motherfucker a pass if it was some dude and running into a nightclub or whatever. You know what I mean? But kids, and you can't go in there behind. I mean, look, dude, if you ain't prepared to die, then man, put the fucking gun down. Seriously. I'm big on that though. If you carry a gun, you should be able to fight. You don't want that gun to be your first tool that you go to use, right? The second thing is if you ain't prepared to use it, if you ain't worried, if you're worried about dying, man, you need to get the fuck out. Seriously. Like that goes back to my thing about not everybody can be cops. You know what I mean? They took that cert to serve and protect shit off their cars because it's not their job to protect you. You know
obviously,
what I mean?
Obviously, they didn't. Who did they serve and who did they protect on that day? Obviously,
they served and they protected themselves. If that shit is true, man, that's bullshit. And them officers all should be fired, just like that motherfucker at Parkland High School that sat in his fucking car when motherfuckers in there shooting and shit. You know what I mean? Like I got no sympathy. Like I said, I know you're trying to be politically correct. Fuck that. You know what I mean? That shit makes me angry. Man, I sit back and I think, like I said, my kids are grown, and but you have a daughter, that's in that age group. You know what I mean? And I guarantee if you called, look, man, if I heard that if one of my neighbors called me and said, hey, there's some guy at the school, he's shooting around, blah, 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 ain't no cops here, whatever. You know what I mean? Fuck it, I'll go. You know what I mean? But I'm prepared to die. You know what I'm saying? I'm prepared to die. And if you're not, get the fuck out of that job, bro. Like that's bullshit, man. 40 minutes before they even went in there?
40 minutes to an hour. And again, I'm holding all of my judgment until the investigation is complete because they're going to give you a timeline. But I'm going to tell you this. I'm not surprised. Act Ozzy, they waited for SWAT. Here's the thing: every law enforcement individual has body armor. They have some form of body armor. There's no one out there just wearing a shirt.
Well, you know what? Fuck that. You know what I mean? Look, if an adult gets shot with a fucking rifle, you know, there's a chance the motherfucker survive. If a fucking 10-year-old gets shot, a 9-year-old gets shot, they're fucking done. So I don't want to hear that, you know, well, you know, we waited for SWAT because we're man, fuck that. Grab your fucking balls, get in the fucking building and engage the fucking shooter. And if you have to, put your body in front of them kids and take them fucking rounds. You know what I mean? Fuck that, man. Like, I ain't got shit, dude. I ain't got shit for them motherfuckers. You know what I mean?
Right.
Where all them motherfuckers in Texas screaming, you know, constitutional carry. We all got guns because we could be safer. Where were y'all niggas at? Y'all didn't run into school.
Right.
You know what I
And
mean?
again,
Y'all motherfuckers didn't run. So, I mean, I'm sorry.
and I get where Jswans is coming from. And Brother Doug just put up a comment. Sounds easy to say to go into blind situation when hostages are involved. 45 minutes doesn't sound long to me when surveillance have to go in.
You ever been there?
Well, hold on. Let me finish. Surveillance have to go in, SWAT team in place, checking to see if there were bombs. Now hold on, Jswans, I'll let you respond in a second. I understand that, Brother Doug, I do. But when we're talking about children, I'm going in. Especially when you see the shooter. You're right.
Nah,
It could be.
Doug, you're gonna sit there. If you're gonna sit there and let kids die while you assess the situation to make sure
Doug,
you don't get fucking
keep
hurt.
in mind, Doug's
man,
not a cop.
that.
Doug's not law enforcement. Again,
Doug ain't never held a fucking weapon before. He ain't never been in a situation where he got to take somebody's life or
maybe
you know
not.
Or defend somebody.
Here's
the
thing.
Well, you know, these kids are getting fucked up, but you know, we want to make sure that, you know, we don't get hurt going in there. Man, fuck that.
I get that. And Jswans, I understand where Jswans is coming from 100%. I will go in. He will go in. No doubt. I don't expect anyone else to do it. I don't expect everyone else to have the same
to be prepared to die. To be prepared to die to save a child's life.
You don't have to. You
know,
don't
not
have
everybody.
to.
Not everybody got balls, man. My bad. I'm sorry. Not everybody's a fucking man. My bad.
It's not even that. It's not even that, bro. I ain't gonna lie to you. We're not talking about us. Now we gotta look at the big picture. You don't have to lay your life down for others. You don't have to lay your life down for children. You don't. And it's hard for people to do that. A lot of people haven't been in that position. I get that. I'm talking about me. Would I go in? Absolutely 100%. Do I expect to come out? No. No, I don't expect to come out. But I'm gonna go in there, and I'm like I said at the top of this broadcast, people get awarded things like the Congressional Medal of Honor, right? They get the Silver Stars with valor and all that. The people who get those awards don't want them because they saw people like Jswans, like myself, who went and turned the tide. They actually laid their lives down. They went in there. They ran into the fire, right? And whatever they did bought enough time for everyone else to regroup, do what they need to do to get the 45 minutes, to wait on reinforcements. But I get that, bro. Not everyone has to do it. And this is a very touchy subject. So our emotions are gonna get involved in this one, y'all.
Man, this ain't emotion. This is real shit, man. Any boy that says that, you know, you gotta wait because, you know, I don't want to get hurt rescuing kids ain't got shit to say. Real shit.
That is an emotion, bro. I feel that's and people who feel that way. Like, I'm not gonna sit back and let children get slaughtered. I can't do that. I can't live with that. Now, look, we're talking about law enforcement. We're not talking about the average dude.
Hey, I just know that some people do what's right, others do the right fucking thing. You know what I mean? And yeah, I guess the right thing would be to sit back and assess and to make sure that, you know, you're safe if you're going in that fucking building. The right thing to do is go in there and fucking save them fucking kids or do what you can or die fucking trying. That's the right fucking thing.
And it'll be heavy emphasis on the die trying part because you don't know what you're running into.
No.
But I can't sit back and because apparently the way this went down, this guy gets into the building, the shooter gets into the building, he ends up barricading himself into a classroom. And that's where he did the most damage. That's where these children fail. That's where these adults fail. We're in that classroom in which
Well,
he
hey,
barricaded
we,
himself
we talked
into.
about this yesterday, man. Like, number one, how fucked up is it as a parent to sit back and hope that your child died first so they didn't have to watch the motherfucking kids die? How fucked up is that shit? And on top of that shit, how fucked up is it to be that officer sitting outside hearing them gunshots talking about, well, we gotta wait for SWAT.
I'm not waiting. Now, Ozzy makes a good point, and I was going to get to this. It was a Border Patrol agent who came and actually deleted the shooter. It was
Because
Border
most of the
Patrol.
Border Patrol motherfuckers are ex-military.
They got better training. They got better training. So again, and brother Doug, what you're saying is true, but I can't sit back and let that happen. Obviously, Jswans can't sit back and let that happen. I'm going in, but I don't expect everyone to do that. I don't expect it. If you're a civilian and you don't want to do that, that's on you. You gotta live with you. I can't live.
Hey,
I can't live with that, especially if I'm law
motherfucker
enforcement.
a motherfucker that can sit there and allow kids to die while you think about shit is the same motherfucker that'll let a kid get hit by a car and be like, well, it wasn't my car.
Wasn't my
You know
car,
what I
but
mean?
like I said, bro. And again, Jswans and I, we are very close. We are similar on almost everything, but we divert a little bit. And like what Act is saying right here, but could entering endanger those kids who are the hostages? It possibly, but I'm still going in.
Yeah.
I'm
Okay,
going
so
in.
what's the downside of that shit? The motherfucker
Again,
killed 19 fucking people?
we're looking at hindsight being 2020. We don't know how it's gonna turn out. Because sitting there, and that's a dangerous thing to do, is say, well, if the first two officers who were there rushed in there, maybe they could have stopped him before he got into the room. Maybe that's the premise I'm working on. I'm gonna go in there and try. Maybe I can get him. Maybe I can keep him pinned down long enough that that teacher could get that door secured. Maybe I can come in there and we can exchange rounds. And again, so long as he's popping rounds at me,
He
he's
ain't
not popping
around
rounds at
I'm like,
children.
did the officers get there and he had a conversation with the officers? Or was he in there just dumping on kids?
Nah, it was no. I mean, yeah, no. There were again. I'm waiting for the official timeline to come out, but I know the early reports were that he got there and there were two police officers who were assigned to the school who engaged him, and
Look,
they were both hurt. Now,
going forward, law enforcement's mantra should be, if we get a call that there is a shooting at a school, you might as well be prepared to die. The law enforcement officers should be prepared to die. And once they accept the fact that they're going to die, go in there and do your fucking job. You know what I mean? Just go in there and do your fucking job. Don't go in there like, well, we might get hurt. No, motherfucker, we going to die today, but we're going to take this motherfucker with us. And we're going to save these kids' lives. That should be their mantra going forward.
And that's a warrior's mentality. It is. That's a warrior's mentality. You know what I mean? Like, again, Ack was talking about the movies and stuff like that, man. War ain't pretty. War ain't pretty. And it's I've seen tough guys freeze. I mean, it's dude, when you see somebody get chopped up, you don't want to go out there.
And that's why when you carry a gun, you carry a first aid kit. Because motherfuckers understand. Motherfuckers just carry guns without a first aid kit. I don't know what the fuck they talking about.
Right.
You know what I mean? But yeah, this school shooting motherfucker, man, like that shit is a problem, man. They're like, well, there was no history of mental health in this motherfucker's record. Just because he didn't go to a doctor didn't mean he wasn't right.
There was I would argue there was no history of mental health because there's no money, there's no way to get him looked at. I guarantee you there was some teachers who were like, that kid ain't right. But they can't, where are they gonna send him? We're not talking about money for that. We're talking about doing everything else but. Where they gonna send him? And again, I want to be clear on one thing. I guarantee you there are some police officers who are like, yeah, man, I absolutely would have went in there. That Border Patrol officer sounds like that's one of those type guys. Got there, was told the situation. What, there's a gunman inside with kids? I bet you he went in.
Fuck that. Why are we standing here? Let's go.
What are we doing? Right? I bet you he went in. Again, we won't know until, unfortunately, we won't know until this is all done. Once all investigations are done, the timelines will come out, and it's gonna be the facts. Right?
Really?
But you got law enforcement people who are like, well, my training says, like Jswans was saying, nah, man, when there's children involved, nah, man, I gotta go in there.
Look,
I gotta go in there.
Going in here, I'm gonna die. But you know what? I'm either taking this dude with me, and I'm saving a couple kids. Fuck it.
That's the thought.
You know what I mean?
That's the thought. I'm gonna go in there.
I mean, if your job is to say, I mean, I don't know, man. Like I said, man, I think that's just bullshit. You know what I mean? 40 fucking minutes. I mean, just think about that, dude. Like, sit in silence for 40 fucking minutes. And think about that shit. Just sit in silence for 40 fucking minutes. And think about them kids. Think about, put it this way, the 18th and 19th kid killed had to sit there and watch 17 others die.
Like,
think about that shit.
40 minutes is a long time. I mean, do you know how many rounds I can get off inside of 40 minutes? Behind me, if you look behind me, that's an M14. 20 round mags. You know how many rounds I can get off inside of 40 minutes with that beast? Right? Not to mention the other weapons that I have that are a lot lighter than they can have more rounds. The AR and the AK, those are 30 round magazines. Do you know how many rounds I can get off inside of 20 minutes? 40 minutes.
You can get 30 rounds out of an M4 accurately up to 100 yards in probably 30 seconds. Think about that. And that's at 100 yards.
So this is the kind of training that law enforcement would need. Y'all need to know this. You need to know this. Time kills. You can't just sit here. You're going to have to go in there. Go to your squad car, get your assault rifle because there's one in every car. Get your extra ammo, get in there. And I'm not going to lie to you. If I witness a shooter run into a building full of children, I'm not going back to my squad. I have my weapon on me. I have my rounds on me. I'm going in there. I need to engage this man or woman, whoever this person is. I need to engage them. I need them to fire at me. And at least I know that I'm buying time for not only the people, the potential victims inside, but I'm buying time for other people wearing uniforms so they can come with the bigger weapons with more ammo, and we can do what we got to do to deal with this shooter. So, Brother Jason, my Detroit walk down the street training will have me there in ASAP. They need to take them badges. Yeah, they do. They need to take them badges. Yeah, my Detroit walk down the street training. Yeah, basically what Brother Jason is saying, he's like, man, look, in the hood, you know what I mean? You got to do what you got to do. You see it all the time. You gotta get there now. Again, law enforcement doesn't pay a lot of money and their training is poor. Their training is poor. And I hope that shows when the reports come out. And how can you not be emotional when we're talking about children? Like I said, I drop my daughter off every day at school. And in the back of my mind is really faint voice. This might be the last time you see your child. You should never feel that way taking your kids to school every single day. It's back of my head. I might not see her again. You know, so, and if we got law enforcement who refuse to do what they need to do to save these kids, ain't doing nothing to nobody, man. It's kids. Yeah, people say, was it different if it's adults? It is. It's a little different. It's a little different. We're talking about children.
Children that can't defend themselves. These are babies.
Babies, man, elementary school kids, man. These kids were like 7, 8, 9 years old, man. Babies. They didn't know what was going on. Because some crazy dude.
Hold on before we go in there. Let's wait for SWAT. We want to make sure there's no bombs or nothing. Bang. Bang. Kids screaming. Kids, and I guarantee you can hear the motherfucker screaming. Yeah. Bang.
And it's not even bang, y'all. It's boom. I don't know if y'all ever been to the range. If you've never been to the range, go to the range and just listen to the weapons being fired. Listen to some 9mm, 357s. Listen to some 45s. Listen to some ARs, some AKs.
You know what?
Some M1As.
I would love for them officers to do a press conference and explain to the parents why they didn't go in there for 40 minutes while their kids was being murdered.
I don't even care about. I don't care about all that, man. It just shows.
No, I want to hear. Well, the reason is because we wanted to make sure there were no bombs in the building. We wanted to make sure everything was secure. But man, fuck that, dude.
That's what they're gonna say. That's why I don't want to hear it.
Yeah. Sometimes you gotta be prepared to die. Like real shit, you gotta be prepared to die. And like I've told people, like, like I've had this conversation with my wife. If someone, broke in the house and had my wife's, with a gun to her head and trying to drag her out the house, I'm taking that fucking shot. Motherfuckers like, well, no, because you might be able to negotiate, and nah, motherfucker, they're gonna take your wife, they're gonna rape her, and then murder her. You know what I mean? Put that motherfucker down. And or we both gonna die together.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like there's no, like I said, man, like some people just shouldn't be in certain, and you're afraid, you're so afraid of something or so worried about something that you'll let kids die and then fuck you.
Like I said, this is, hey man,
you know what I mean?
This is that's the First Amendment, and you cutting in and out too. Just so you know, bro. I don't know if you can hear me. You're cutting in and out.
No, I'm in.
But here's the thing. That's freedom of speech. People get offended, right? They get their undies in a bunch when they hear real talk. That's man talk, y'all. What Jswans is saying, that's man talk.
And I'm not saying shit that right now that I wouldn't say to somebody's face. And
that's man talk. That's man talk. All this procedures and protocol, that's out the window, man. That's out the window. When you look at the invasion of Normandy, man, D-Day, when you look at that, right? When you look at the jumps, the 101st Airborne Division, 82nd Airborne Division, they were scattered all over Normandy. So what were they supposed to do? Sit around and just wait? Oh, no, we got to walk 2 miles that way because we missed our drop zone. Let's walk over there. No, you figure it out. The Nazis are over there. Let's go over there and get them. That's what you do. I'm not in your unit. I better wait for my unit, man. Yeah. You're in my unit now. Come on, let's go. So I understand that law enforcement doesn't have the training. I understand that there are people out there who are just not brave enough. Let's just keep it 100. Just not brave enough to risk their lives for $20. They don't want to risk their lives for children. They're going to blame it on protocol and procedure. Well, no, it's my job to secure the perimeter and wait for this, that, and the third. I couldn't live with myself. But at the same time, you can't fire those people if that is procedure. Right? And this is a thing that, like the manosphere talks about it all the time, man. You can't. Sometimes you got to be a man. Sometimes you got to be a man. What does being a man mean? You got to do man shit. Running into a building that's on fire, that's man shit. Running into a building where there's a shooter, that's man shit. Hey, there may be bombs. They may be booby traps. There may be. There absolutely may be. You might kick the first door open and it blows up. You're gone. But Jswans behind me. The mission continues.
Exactly. Well, what's that saying? If you don't stand for something, you'll fall for anything.
You'll fall for anything. And then I was just saying this throws the idea of giving teachers staff guns. Here's the thing with that, bro. Again, if you're gonna get somebody firearms, you need firearms training. And if you're gonna give it to teachers who are around kids anyway, you need tactical training. And where are they gonna keep the weapon? Where are they gonna keep the weapon?
So when does the teacher feel threatened and feel like they need to shoot? Oh,
and who are they gonna engage? Right.
That Johnny yelled at me. Oh my God. Oh no. I mean,
that can open up another can of worms. Down in Miami, Florida, I want to say maybe last month, some elementary kid, some boy, he was a little bigger than the teacher. I think the teacher was 120 pounds. He might have been 130 pounds or something like that. He beat this teacher up. He physically beat her up. If she were armed, would she have been within her authority to draw her weapon and engage this little kid? So when we talk about putting weapons in school, firearms in school, if you're going to do something like that, there's a lot of, just to have the firearm in the school, it's going to be a whole nother process there. You might not qualify.
How you going to give teachers guns when the cops in your area got guns and they can't do shit with it?
And they're not coming in the building.
I'm just saying, like, what the fuck, how you going to do that shit? And you know what? And quietly, if you have a gun and you don't have the mentality to use it, which, this motherfucker's gonna be like, oh, I'll be ready. Nah, fuck that. You ain't got the mentality to use that shit. You ain't prepared to take another person's life. That gun's gonna get taken from you and then used on you and the kids in your classroom. Then what are you gonna do?
That's a really good point. if you don't have that training, if I'm a sicko and I know I don't have to bring a weapon to the school, there are weapons in there. Well, how about
Yeah.
I just go into that classroom? Now I got every classroom got weapons.
Yep. Or be one of them parents that goes out there and likes to punch the coaches. You know what I mean? You get mad at teacher, you go punch the teacher and the gun falls out. Oh shit. Got one.
Right? I
I
mean,
mean,
so we gotta think this stuff through, and
I'm not
that's
saying
what's
like
good.
I'm not saying that gun laws will, that gun law. I don't know. Look, I don't know how to fix gun shit. Okay,
Well, that's
I
what
don't know. I'm
we're
a
about
gun
to
guy.
we're about to get into that because our
Yeah,
conversation over the past couple of days revolved around that, and I definitely want to get into that. That's the reason for the stream.
yeah.
But and as we're saying, people don't care about other people nowadays. That's the issue. Tribes are gone.
That's real shit. That's real
Tribes are
shit.
gone.
That I believe that I believe that wholeheartedly.
There is no
You know
more
what I mean?
village because it takes a village to raise folks, and then people can't communicate. They can't engage. I mean, we can have I can have this like what Doug said made sense. I can have that conversation. I'm like, okay, but I don't agree with it when it comes to children, but I can have that conversation. You know what I mean? I'm still going to be very passionate in my response, like Jswans was passionate in his. You know what I mean? We're talking about kids. Kids, why are we targeting kids? Since Columbine, it's just been kids.
Yeah.
This thing, Sandy Hook. I mean, it goes on and on and on.
Part of it because these motherfuckers, you get these weak ass boys that can't handle rejection or life is too hard. Motherfucker, 18 years old, life is too hard. I'm mad, throwing a tantrum. So motherfucker, I'm gonna pick up a gun and find the weakest motherfuckers I can find and kill them. That motherfucker killed an old lady, his own grandmother, his old lady, and some kids.
And some
Get the
kids
fuck out.
and a couple grown-ups. I mean, if you bat it like that, if you want to do that, you know where law enforcement is. How come you didn't go there?
Go to the fucking gun range.
Go to the range. It's a whole bunch of people there with weapons. But
Yeah.
I mean, it's one of those things, man. There's a lot to that. There's a lot to that. Act Ozzy saying cops already had a CNN interview. They said they were busy emptying other classes. We can do two things at once. We can do two things at once. We could do
We
two
were
things.
busy
Okay,
emptying other classrooms.
we're gonna split our force.
Thank
All
you.
right, this half of the force is gonna secure the other classes, break windows, get them out or whatever, and the other half is gonna be the strike team. And guess what? If you are a force
Don,
of two, right? If you are a force
Don,
of
get the
two,
motherfuckers out. I'm moving.
I'm moving.
You know what I mean?
All
Get
right,
these motherfuckers out.
copy that.
I
I'm
got
gonna
this.
clear.
Get these motherfuckers
What
out. I'm
room is
going
he
here.
in? They're in. Where is he? Outside of room 1. You know what? Nah, man. As we running over there to get him, I'm gonna secure these classrooms while you keeping rounds on him.
Yes.
I mean, I'm sorry, y'all. You just can't. They're kids. They're kids. I mean, I can't sit back and let children get slaughtered like that. I gotta move on that, man.
Yeah.
I gotta move on that.
Yeah, I mean,
we got radios. We're in constant communication with everybody. We know ETAs. We know who's responding. We know where
like you
they
said,
are.
shooters of room 1. All right, D. Take room 2 down. You start clearing that motherfucker. I'm putting rounds on this dude through the doorway. You know what I mean? I'm going in there. Start getting these motherfuckers out of here. Let's go. Make some shit happen. And then we're on the radio. Anybody else getting the motherfucker in here? He's in room 1. We're
He's in
engaged.
room 1.
Come on.
Nah, I get that. I mean, there's just people. It's tough. Again, like my biggest point with law enforcement, man, is the lack of proper training. And again, it wasn't even local PD. It seems it was Border Patrol. It was federal agents that came in and acted. It wasn't local PD. It was Border Patrol. Again, I'm really looking forward to getting the details on this.
I'm waiting to hear. Well, we were outgunned, motherfucker. You don't have a fucking rifle in your trunk, strapped onto the mirror.
It doesn't matter that I'm outgunned. It's just I want to keep this person occupied. I want those rounds from his 5.56 coming at me. I want them coming at me.
I want him worried about me.
Every police officer,
if he's worried about me, he can't even fuck with me.
Can't do anything else. Every police officer that's on the street, they have their primary weapon on their hip and they have a secondary weapon on their person somewhere. They got two pistols, at least 2. Some PDs, some organizations have more than that. They'll have 2 backups in there, and that's not counting the one in the car.
Look, man, my thing is if you're not prepared to die, then you should not be in law enforcement. Period.
That's it. Their job.
Okay?
They don't serve and protect. They don't serve and protect anymore.
Every day you go out, you could die. And if you're worried about dying, I mean, if that's the thing you think about the most, then you need to get another fucking job. Real shit. You know, I mean, if you get hurt, if you're worried, then you need another job.
Yeah, you're breaking up real bad, man, because you know you live out there in the sticks. But we heard most of that. Brother Jason is saying someone may have said this. Need a new police agency just to patrol schools and universities. Security guards ain't gonna cut it. Armed security is the same as local PD, and they pretty much have the same. They have the same training. In fact, some security organizations are better trained than the local PD. But they already have that at university. They got university police. You know what I mean? Some of the bigger schools and the private schools, they have armed security, roving patrols, and all that. So they're already doing it. Again, it's hard to stop these people who are not right. We're not putting any money into any mechanism to help. This guy, just like the dude in Buffalo, and this guy and all the others, there were warning signs. There are always signs. There were warning signs out there. People saw these signs, right? But we don't have a mechanism in place to get these people looked at.
So right? Did he just walk into the school with his rifle, like just stroll on in?
That's what it looks like. He engaged there were two police officers there when he got to the school, two resource officers, according to some of the reports that I read. Initially, they engaged him, but they were wounded somehow. They didn't stop him. He managed to. Yeah. He pushed past them into the school. So
if he's firing 5.56, and they got they got body armor rated for handguns. Yeah, that's not gonna do no good. They're gonna take rounds.
Yeah, they're gonna take rounds. But I wish they could have engaged him more. But I mean, again, he's better armed, right? He's better geared.
It's an ambush.
And he pushed right through him. Now, there's going to be a lot of questions as to why the doors weren't locked, but it was around recess. I mean, there's all sorts of things that were going on. He got in. That's the point. He got in. You got to chase him in. You got to chase him in. Maybe he'll come
I mean, I get it. Like I said, a handgun versus a rifle. You call them military deadly guns for a reason. Because if you pull on your handgun, it's a wrap. So I mean, but I mean, still though, like I said, your whole purpose is that's it. Try to keep them rounds as long as you can. I mean, hindsight being what it is, I know we're paying Monday morning shit, but come the time you got to move decision.
Yeah, bro.
Any child's life.
Yeah, whenever you see me, yeah. If you ever see me do this, the ceasefire, that means you're buffering. So, but we heard most of that, man. And you're right. You know what I mean? You don't want to go against, 9mm 45. You know what I mean? 357 versus 7.62, 5.56, 3.08. You don't want to deal with that.
Yeah.
Even 12 gauge. You don't want to deal with that. You know what I mean? So,
I'm just saying.
But we get that. But again, when it comes to children, I mean, that's why. Oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say, man, as a man, man, one of the purposes that if you call yourself a man, you got to be prepared to protect children. You got to be prepared to give your life to protect a child. That's part of being a man. It's not written nowhere. There's nobody that's ever sat me down and said this, but you got to be prepared, man. And I don't see how you can look yourself in the mirror as a man and be like, I couldn't do nothing with that. I made the conscious choice. I mean, like I said,
No, I get that. No one ever told me that. Even on the streets, the most hardened shooter, trigger puller, you know what I'm saying? Bad boy on the street. They ain't out there trying to get kids. There are rules to this, man. Why do you think if you get locked up for doing bad things to children, they get you inside? When you come in there, when you get in there, that's the guy right there. You did what to them kids? They get you. There are rules to this. You don't mess with kids. Now the problem is in our society, toxic masculinity. Someone's gonna listen to what you said, and they're gonna be like, "Oh, he's toxic." Oh, really? He's passionate about saving children and he's toxic because those people who are, fearful to run in there. No, I mean, you got this is like I said, this is man stuff. And that's like when I said tribes, I meant sense of community. Yeah, it takes a village. Absolutely. We agree with you 100%. That was the best comment you made. Your comment about that. People not caring was one of the best comments today. Act Ozzy. Oh, they knew that room, what room they was in. They said it's isolating him in that, and he's with hostages, kids, while they emptied other rooms. Again, that's protocol and that's procedure. You got to do them both at the same time. I'm not going to leave you in a room full of children. Are you saying you just wrote them people off? Or maybe they were thinking like, well, he's not going to do anything. He's in a room. He's barricaded himself in with these kids. They're waiting to negotiate. You're going to hear those rounds. Go to the range, people. Go to the range and just listen. Sit in the parking lot and just listen to people firing their weapons. 5.56 is loud. You can't tell me they didn't hear that man in there doing what he was doing. But again, all the facts aren't out, so I can't hit him too hard. You know what I mean? And law enforcement didn't know what room he was in. At a minimum, they got to look at their procedures. I know in California, they used to have a procedure like that where they wouldn't go in. If there was a suspected active shooter, law enforcement were trained not to go in. But then California changed that to where now the first officers on the scene go in because they understand that any time that you waste in the parking lot, not going in trying to engage this guy. In fact, I want to say it was a CHP officer or maybe it was a sheriff, laid his life down in an active shooter situation, Sagebrush Cantina, I believe it was. And I think that's Ventura. That's like suburbs of LA. And he went in and unfortunately the shooter was a Marine. I mean, if you run in, I mean, that's just bad luck of the draw. But that officer, to his credit, ran in. They didn't wait. He went in, and he kept that shooter engaged, and possibly saved lives. So, at a minimum, they got to redo their training. They got to at least look at that. Jswans fell out because communication issues. He's out in the middle of nowhere. The issue with mental health people want to fix things, but they should address what caused the issue in the first place. Prevention is better than the cure. Absolutely, but we don't even have that. We don't even have that in place. And I agree with you, brother.
Hey, sorry, man. I just parked. I was trying to drive and talk at the same time. It ain't working.
Yeah, your head ain't right. So, but we're an hour into this, and I really didn't want to spend this much time on what we've been covering, just kind of picking apart procedures, maybe, trying to determine who's brave, who wasn't brave. We've established that. But let's talk about, because here's the thing, the talking points are out there. It's the gun's fault. Right now, everything is bad. It's bad. There's too many guns. Right? So what's your take on that, bro?
It ain't the gun's fault, man. It's stupid fucking kids' fault.
But again, we're gonna move past that. It's not the gun's fault, but you, as a gun guy, you do agree that there could be some things done out there that just make sense.
Well, yeah, I mean, we've talked about that. I mean, like, I believe in some sort of, universal gun check, mental health checks or something. I don't know how to do it, man. Like, it's so far above my pay grade. It
starts with background checks.
Yeah, like, okay. Well, here in Florida, you go to a gun store, and if you have a concealed carry permit, you can, pick up any gun you want and walk out with it that day, which to me is fine because they have all the information on you. They have everything on you.
They have to run it through. They have to run it through a centralized database. Sometimes it takes a couple hours. It depends on how many people are in the system ahead of you.
But you can leave that day, right?
Yes.
But I can also in Florida, meet a guy in the parking lot of Publix and buy a gun from him with nothing, no background check. And the law says that I don't have to ask if he has a felony or anything. He just can't buy it from me and have a felony. So I can sell to whoever.
And it puts it on him, whoever that person is.
Yeah. Which if he's a bad guy, who gives, he doesn't give a shit.
But you have to have a bill. But you have to have a bill of sale. But as an individual,
not in Florida, you don't. No, bro. I can walk up right now, buy a gun from somebody, and walk off. That's how easy it is in Florida. And that's how it is in Texas too. And Arizona, I believe, as well. And probably a couple other states. That to me doesn't make any sense. Okay. I mean, like, okay, put it this way, if I met a guy to sell a gun and the guy came up to me talking about, yeah, I'm gonna go light some school up. I'm mad. I'm so mad. I need this because my girlfriend's acting up. I'm not gonna sell it to dude. I'll be like, you know what? I'm good. I'm good. But there's people out there that won't give a shit. And that's the problem. I mean, so we need to find a way to regulate that. I don't know how we should do the laws. I don't understand them all. It's too complicated. It's well above my pay grade. It's not the gun's fault, but we can do better, in regulating these somehow. I mean, I know that, the Second Amendment makes guns everybody's rights. Everybody has the right to own a gun. All right. Everybody shouldn't have a gun. And that's my attitude. If you're gonna have a gun and you're gonna carry it for self-defense, then you need to be trained on how to use it.
So gun safety and training should be absolute requirement. How would that look?
How would it look? I don't know. If you want to purchase a gun, you take a class.
Well, you are in a unique position because you were licensed to carry in California, which is probably one of the most stringent states with this sort of thing, and you're licensed to carry it in Florida. What were the differences between the two?
Well, in California, the background check was way more extensive. And then you're required to take, I think it's 8 or 16-hour class. And in that class, you learn about, how the weapons work. You learn about different types of ammo, and they make you look at pictures of what a bullet will do to a body.
And when you say pictures, you're talking about like combat photos of,
you're seeing pictures of people that were shot in home invasions. You're seeing pictures of people that shot themselves, and you're not seeing the pictures from 10 feet away. No, you're seeing that stuff close up. You're seeing that there's no difference between what a 9mm does to somebody and a 5.56 round. It obliterates stuff. All right. So you're seeing that stuff. You're seeing guts hanging out. You're seeing half of somebody's head gone. You're seeing a thumb blown off. You're seeing a thigh. You're seeing the pictures. You're seeing what happens.
So what if you refuse that part of the course?
Then you don't get your concealed carry permit and you leave the class.
Okay.
So I mean,
so in the person, well, who was teaching the course? What kind of qualifications did they have?
Well, the guy I had from my class, he was a Australian Special Forces guy. So that was the guy teaching our class.
He was Australian Special Forces, or was that guy he was SAS, but was he Australian who had SAS training?
He was British. I think British has I think British is SAS, and New Zealand does too. I think they both have that.
Okay. So he was the equivalent. So basically he was a special forces operator teaching this course.
Yeah. And he hold on a sec. So in teaching this class, on top of that stuff, so you had to see the bodies, you had to take the written tests and all that stuff, right? Then you had shoot, no shoot scenarios. Like law enforcement goes through.
Mm-hmm.
They have the big TV screen up there and you sit there with a toy gun, and they have like the burglars come in the jewelry store, and you got to make a decision to shoot or not to shoot.
Okay.
That sort of stuff. So
and these are all graded. Like you could fail.
Yes, you could fail the class. And then, you do that stuff. And then you also, they talk about, different types. They talk about court cases. They talked about the George Zimmerman, Trayvon Martin situation. And, and he pissed a lot of people off, but he was like, the reason that Zimmerman got off was because, he has that stand their ground law. He was getting his head beat in. He was getting his ass kicked by a little kid, getting his head beat in. And he felt like he was going to die. So he was able at that time to use his weapon legally, according to the laws in the state. Which is interesting because California has the same law. All right. People are like this. What? California has that same stand your ground law. So, but it talks about that. These are the things, these are uncomfortable conversations. They talk about how, you have these guys that are like, if someone comes in my house, I'm gonna blow them away. Okay. He talks about, well, this is what happens when you shoot someone at close range with a shotgun. And anybody that saw that Aubrey video, you saw what that looks like.
That's messy business, people.
Yes. And pieces of you go everywhere, and how that affects your family, how that affects your kids. They talk about people, if you're going to have a weapon and you're in your home, have a light on your weapon. Don't be so eager to shoot because it might be your kid walking around at the end of the hallway. Be careful of the ammo that you choose. They talk about different types of ammunition because, have those guys that are like, yeah, I want a double odd buck and a slug for my shotgun in my house. Well, that double odd buck and that slug will go through every wall in your house. And if you have a kid in another room, guess what?
So all this was part of the class to conceal carry in California.
In California.
So, and that's not all.
Yes, no. And you have to qualify with the weapon that you carry. And you shoot standing, and you shoot standing, you shoot sitting, and then you lay on your back and you got to shoot. And they say lay on your back because if you're in that type of situation, if you're knocked down or whatever, that's when you'll be, Right. And then the last thing the guy left the class with was, don't let that be your only option for defense. He's like, if you can't fight, don't carry a gun, because the first time you get scared and somebody tries to fight you, you're gonna pull your gun, and you'll be in trouble.
So back to the qualifications. So you had to qualify if you wanted to carry a Glock 17. You qualify at the course with that Glock 17. That's the only weapon you can carry.
Only weapon you can carry. So you got to qualify with the weapon. And if you think about it, like I thought it was kind of dumb at first too, but you know what? So you qualify with a 22, but you really want to carry a Desert Eagle. You want to carry a 50 cal thing. You're not gonna know how to handle that thing.
Yeah. Even experienced people had trouble handling that thing. That's way too much work.
That from experience, I know. What I'm saying?
Yeah. So, we know.
Yeah, definitely. So whereas in Florida, basically it was sit in the classroom for a couple of hours, and they didn't really talk about much, to the point where the people in the class were like, well, can I shoot somebody if I see them in the car and they're flipping me off? Those are questions people were asking in that classroom.
And you're not even talking about for you. You're talking about for your wife, because in Florida, if you're prior military, all you need is your DD. You have a copy of your DD 214 that proves that you were prior military. You don't have to take a course.
Which I have a problem with that too, because not everybody in the military knows how to use a weapon. Everybody learns in basic training. You get a couple days in basic training about how to shoot, but you're not taught about flagging people. You're not taught about shoot no shoot scenarios. There's people in the military, like I think the Air Force has something called Beast Week, where they take 1 week and they learn weapons and this and that gets cut short a lot. I know my dad was in the Air Force, and he told me that they had a day where they got up one morning, someone handed them a rifle, loaded it for them, they shot about 10 or 15 rounds, and then they just gave the rifle back to the guy. That was it.
And I know for a fact in the Navy, unless you have one of those jobs that requires you to handle firearms, you don't get a lot of training. And we, especially like small arms, they don't, that's not their thing. That's the Navy. Like with the Air Force, that's not their thing. It's not the Marine Corps, it's not the Army. So, and here's another thing. Everyone in the Army doesn't have the same experience level with weapons and different types of weapons.
Yeah. So, even in combat zones, they don't give everybody ammo. The military doesn't give everybody ammo in combat zones because they don't want people getting shot over stupid shit.
Right. I was in country for 3 days before, no, it was a week before I was given rounds, and I was given only 180 rounds. I didn't even get the full combat load. I was pissed. Now, when I joined the unit, I was brand new. I was the FNG, the fucking new guy, so I wasn't a part of any teams or anything. So if I had gone with the teams, I'd have had more. I'd have had everything from grenades to claymores to everything.
Well, Reese, the cat, from back at home, he said when they were in Baghdad, he was a controller. He said they got no ammo. So they carried rifles with no ammo. They were told, hey, if something happens, you just got to get down.
Well, that's the Army for you. So so as a person who's very Second Amendment friendly, well, let's talk about that. Because you already said that it is a right, but you don't believe all Americans should be allowed.
No, I don't think everybody should have a gun.
So how will we distinguish between who can and who can't? Like this guy was 18 years.
No idea, bro. I have no idea, man. You're asking something so far above my pay grade. I have no idea how you would do that. We all know somebody that should not have. Hell, we know people that shouldn't be driving.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So, and they're still driving. So I don't know how you would stop that. I really don't, man. Like, I got nothing. I really wish I did. I've thought about this over the last couple of days. I got nothing. Because it is a right. It is a right. And but
guaranteed by the Constitution. And that's just saying no guns for young dudes with no father.
Yeah, you can't do that. You know what I'm saying?
It's like you got to start somewhere. I've heard people say, well, raise the age So you can't, you can't be 18 to have a
How you gonna
weapon.
raise?
You have to,
How you gonna raise the age? I mean, you old enough to go fight and die for your country. You know what I mean? Like, come on.
but just,
I
but
mean,
and the same thing with alcohol. Like, when you're old enough to go, get yourself blown up in some faraway land, but you're not old enough to buy yourself a drink.
I,
18. I
I don't
mean,
know, man. I mean, maybe something like, maybe you gotta wait until you're 21, 22, 25 years old, unless you're in the military. I mean, I don't know. I don't know, because just because you're in the military doesn't make you some super intelligent guy that's super safe. I mean, we did a lot of dumb stuff.
yeah, a
So I
lot
mean,
of dumb shit.
I don't know, man. Like, I wish I had an answer. I really do. You
Would
know,
you? Well, let me ask you this: would you be opposed if the politicians came out with a law that said that all states had to adopt a procedure or class scenario like California? In other words, you had to get a trainer who was qualified, and you had a pass fail. Like, okay, I want a firearm. I have to go through this course. It's similar to the way what you went through in California, and that was the law of the land.
Okay. I wouldn't want anything from California to spread nationwide. Number
Okay.
one. I mean, like I said, I love the place, but man, they got some crazy people shit going on. But as far as like just buying a rifle, right? Like a hunting, a regular rifle, any rifle, I don't know. I don't know. But carrying a concealed weapon, yeah, if the federal government said that everybody's got to do their concealed carry permit process the way that California does, I would have no problem with that. And to add to it, I would add more. I would add annual training. You know what I mean? Annual or semi-annual refresher training.
Training or qualification or both.
Qualification training every 6 months. Because if you're carrying that weapon, like, I know people that carry concealed weapons that, they're like, man, if somebody was in the store right now, I would totally engage them in this and that. And I'm like, really? I said, so you engaged that guy. What about the person he walked in with behind you? What about when these people are running out of here screaming to the cops, there's a guy in there with a gun. Well, what's he look like? I don't know. He's got a pink shirt on. Well, no, I saw the guy with the green shirt with a gun. So there's two guys in there with guns. Guess what? The cops are going to shoot both of you.
Yeah. As they should.
And, so, I mean, there's a whole process to it. If you're going to carry concealed, you have to understand that weapon is to protect you and those you love. You know what I mean? It's not to be a hero. Okay. Now, if the opportunity presents itself, hey, do what you got to do. But the weapons, your concealed carry permit is for you to protect you and those you love, to protect yourself. Like, I know you got on me about this, but I've told people, I don't, like, I'm not pulling my gun out to show you. I'm not pulling my gun out to scare you. If I pull my gun out, somebody's going to die that day. Either I'm going to die or that person is going to die, because that's how committed I am to pulling that weapon, which is how you should be. You don't use your weapon, unless you fear for your life. And if I fear for my life, somebody's got to go.
Yes, because there's a process allegedly with police training. They do these steps where they put their hair on their weapon, then they actually unholster the weapon, so they kind of show the weapon, and then they engage.
Yeah.
But again, sometimes they gotta skip all the way. Like, if someone's pulled out a weapon already and firing, they gotta engage. I'm not showing you my pistol. I'm not that dude like, what's up, pulling up my shirt. If you cut me off, I'm not pulling my weapon out and showing it to you in the window.
Because people don't realize, like, okay, like if you and I are together, or Chris, I was with Chris today, and some guy, we're out somewhere, and some guy, he reaches for his weapon, and I don't see it, but he's looking at me. Chris is gonna get him.
Yeah,
you're gonna get him. You know what I mean? Like, you don't show that shit.
Yeah.
I mean, I never understood that shit.
And that's part of the training. That is part of the culture, that there are too many people in states like Florida who do that. If you're in a class and your question is it okay for me to shoot somebody who cuts me off? You should be kicked out of the class.
You should not be. You know what? That's a person right there that should not have a firearm.
You need more training. You need more training. You know what? You got to start over again.
Yeah, I told you that about that guy up here that was at the gas station, and somebody said somebody's going to die tonight or something like that. So he decided he was going to show that guy his gun. You know, he showed the guy the gun, and the guy drove off. The police came, and he was upset because the police took his gun from him. Well, I was just defending myself. And they're like, no, that's brandishing.
Brandishing a firearm, that's a felony.
Yes. Yes. And you know what I mean? And people don't understand, like, you don't pull a gun unless you're going to use it. It's plain and simple.
I mean, even in the military, right?
Yeah, really. Yeah.
We don't take our weapons out until we plan to use them. So we're in a combat zone, our weapons are out and they are hot. We are ready. We're not doing that walking around Fort Bragg. We're not doing that walking around Fort Riley. We're not doing that on an everyday basis. So, I agree with you on that.
When they give you weapons, it's game time.
It's game time. Weapons
it's
and
a
rounds,
whole different. You know,
it's game time.
And that's the other thing. In that class in California, the instructor also talked about the mentality of it. You know what I mean? You can't, and maybe that's another reason why I'm so overly aggressive about it. The mentality is you can't pull a gun with the hopes of, I hope I don't have to use this. You know, I hope I don't have to, you know, maybe I could shoot him in the leg. You don't pull it out with that mentality. If you pull it out, this is what's going on. You know what I mean? Now, day to day, you walk around, please God, don't let me have to use this. Don't let me have to do this. But if I have to pull it out, please God, let me have the intestinal fortitude to do what I need to do to protect them and mine. Yeah. You know, that sort of thing. So, I mean, and that's part of the training that you get in California. It's a definite attitude you have to have. It's not carrying a gun is not comfortable. You know, it's cool. It is uncomfortable. You know, it's bulky, it's big, it's heavy. You have to be conscious of it everywhere you go. You can't do shit like set it on the toilet in the bathroom and then leave it in the bathroom like I've heard some law enforcement people have done. Yeah. You know, you have to be aware of it. You know, you have to be aware of your surroundings. You know, my wife pays more. I mean, she catches people carrying more than I do. And usually because, you know, their shirts will come up or, you know, I've seen a guys fall out in the bank before. I just shook my head like, wow.
Yeah. And here's the thing, like what Jswans is saying should be the way law enforcement is trained. Like they draw their weapon. They should be prepared to engage. It's not about, oh, I'm gonna wound you. I'm gonna hit you in the leg. I'm gonna hit you in the shoulder. Nah, center mass. I'm gonna put 3 rounds right there where your heart is.
They're taught like that. They're taught to shoot center mass. You know what
I
mean? We hope the threat is eliminated.
We hope they are. Yeah, and that's one of my biggest problems with law enforcement. They will empty their magazines. That doesn't make any sense. But that's another story.
I was gonna say they kept wiggling, so I kept shooting.
Right, brother. Well, it's just bad. You never want to empty all your rounds. That's just bad. Because anyway, that's another story. Brother, I call it background check. The dude was fighting with his mother and her boyfriend, so he moved out. And it sounded like he had issues with his grandma as well because he engaged her first. So background checks are huge. Ozzy.
But I don't know. You know what I mean? Like you know, if I knew the answer, bro, I'd be making a whole lot more money.
Maybe. Who knows?
or the NRA would have me killed.
Yeah, that's it. Ozzy, if I pull my gun, someone is going to die that day. Jswans, 2022, like 05, 26, 2022. Hey. But you know what? That is the reason you carry. Is not a fashion statement. The weapon is there for your protection, and it's lethal force. So if you're drawing your weapon, it's for nothing less than engaging with someone who's coming at you. Is lethal force, and you have to match.
If you draw your weapon, you fear for your life. And if you fear for your life, you have the right in the state of Florida to stand your ground and defend and protect your life. That's it. You know, it's not about, well, you know, I pulled my gun. I tried to shoot him in the leg. Oh, then you didn't fear for your life because you took the time to shoot him in the leg. You didn't fear for your life. No.
Yes.
I pulled my weapon and I fired at the largest part of the body that I could see in order to stop him from doing harm to me and my family. He was going to kill us.
Had to stop the threat. So this is not like carrying concealed weapons, carrying firearms. Man, it's a huge responsibility. So that brings me to my next. I want your thoughts on insurance. Should that be part of the process if you're going to conceal carry? Should you have to pay for insurance?
Yes, you know, wholeheartedly. I mean, you pay for insurance for your car. I mean, here's the thing: a bullet goes where it's going to go. All right, and depending on the size or the caliber, that's just going to go for a mile or maybe 2 or 3, whatever. So if you're willing to shoot that weapon, then you need to be prepared to pay for the consequences that come with it. You know, I mean, you go get I'm gonna get my AK-47 for home defense, and you fire your AK-47 down the hallway, and it goes through, you know, your walls, you go through my walls across the street from your house, it goes through the house behind me, and jacks up my house, or God forbid hurt somebody in my home, then yeah, I'm coming after you, and I'm suing you for everything you got.
Yeah,
I'm,
financial.
I'm suing your great grandkids. All right,
Yeah.
I'm getting everything.
Yeah. So like, sorry, you got your place home. It was home invaded.
Yeah.
Sorry about that. But why are you dumping rounds in my house?
Exactly. I mean, why do the rounds go through that guy and keep going? And that goes in the type of ammunition that you would use. But yeah, yes, you should have insurance. Anything could happen when you're carrying a gun. Yeah, just like the guy that here when I first got here a year or so ago that had a gun in Walmart in his pocket and with no holster on it and bent over and shot himself in the leg.
Well, it was a woman that had a pistol in her purse, and her 4-year-old or 5-year-old grabbed the pistol, shot her to death.
There you go. I mean, stuff happens. You got to be put this way. As horrible as it is, I'm glad that he shot her, didn't shoot somebody across the street. Or that guy in Walmart. I'm glad he shot himself in the leg instead of that round going off down the aisle somewhere and hitting somebody down the aisle.
Or missing his leg, ricocheting, and then bouncing into somebody's neck.
Exactly. I mean, so, if you're going to carry it, there's a responsibility that goes with that. So, yeah, get insurance. Get it. I don't see, this is the thing. I don't understand why, there's such negative pushback. If you got a car, you got to have insurance. If you're driving, yeah, you got to wear a seatbelt. I mean, people don't, which, like anything else, people are not going to do it. But they pay the consequences when something happens and they don't have it.
Right.
And it's not like it's that expensive. You can, if you can afford a gun, guns are expensive. Shit.
They ain't cheap.
Yeah, if you can afford a gun, you can afford the $25 or $30 a month for the insurance that gets you coverage of, like, I don't know, $500,000 and an attorney on call, because that's the other thing you don't want to do. You don't have to use your weapon and then the police show up and you start talking. Well, I'm not at fault. It's not my fault. He came after me and I shot him in the leg. So you took the time to shoot him in the leg. Okay.
So what else happened? Do tell.
Exactly.
What else happened? Keep talking.
You get that. Yeah, you get that insurance. They tell you exactly what to say. Yep. You get a card. They tell you what to say. They tell you who to talk to. They get you an attorney that you don't have to pay for. And they'll tell you right then, even though you're in the right, you may believe you're in the right. And the officers may say, hey, we understand. Don't say shit. Don't say shit. Because they might not get you on murder. They'll throw that fucking manslaughter or assault shit on you in a heartbeat and tell you to take that plea. And then you'll be taking that deal and getting that D in prison.
Hey, it will be what it will be. You know what I mean? Act Ozzy. Being a Canadian dude visiting the States, someone open carrying was a shocker. And yeah, like we're, down here, man, we're Americans, bro. So it's
welcome to America, bro.
Welcome to America. That's how we get down, man. But I get you. It is. I've seen people who never been around weapons, firearms, Americans, and then they will come to the hood and just see everybody has guns. It'll just blow their minds, the kind of weapons that come out of nowhere. Like, oh, look at this, under pillows, out of the closet, you know what I mean? Out of the waistband. Like, oh, you ain't got one of these, player? And
think about this. That guy that's open carrying, which I don't understand open carry at all, because you're just the first target.
Yeah. You know what I'm coming to see. Open carry. Yeah. Ooh, look, he's got that nice, he got the nice Glock 21. Let's go get that.
And I'm the bad guy. I'm looking around the room like, oh, he's got his shit right there on his hip like he's John Wayne. Oh, okay, so I'm gonna dump on him. I'm gonna get right next to him and hit him first.
Could walk up right behind him.
Yep.
That doesn't make any sense to open carry unless you law enforcement. You got you got a hard uniform on, and the cop who tried to tase the dude but shot him instead. Yeah, as a female police officer, man, she thought she reached for a taser. It was her weapon. And here's the thing: a loaded handgun and a taser. Huge difference in weight. Huge difference.
We talked about that.
We'll get into that. One day we're gonna do an episode on training. We're trying to line up some law enforcement folks to come in there with us. I think she should be put under the jail for that. Swans disagrees. I say it's shitty. Accidents. God damn. That's a fucked up one. You know what I mean? Like, and think about this. Okay, she's trained for that shit. She was a training officer. That was the thing that got it for me. Like, not only was she trained other police officers. Yeah. So no, I'm sorry. If the drill sergeant pulls out his weapon and shoots somebody, like, oh, I thought it was a training round. No, drill sergeant, not you. You got too much training.
Tell you, and here you go. People talk about, arming teachers in classrooms. That officer is trained for that shit, and she fucked it up.
Yeah.
trained
I
constantly.
wouldn't want my teachers, the teachers around my child, to be armed. And if it was something that they were doing, it would be at a military school. And these guys are like, they've been down range, they got combat time, they have the highest training. And I don't think they would want to be armed. Where are you going to put the weapon? I mean, it's just so many other questions.
And you know, hey, I just thought about this, man. Like, I just thought back to that school shooting shit. I just thought about this shit. So, you know, they were like, we're clearing the other rooms because, you know, we want to make sure that these other people are safe before we go in there and deal with this dude, right? Tell me, is that the same thing they would do if the president of the United States was in that room?
No,
Would they clear the rest of the White House out and then go talk to the president?
We're on the same page, bro. I'm just waiting for the timeline to come out, and I'm gonna do a follow-up show. We're on the same page. It's kids, man. I'm sorry. I'm going in. It's kids.
Yeah.
So we done beat that up. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I just thought about that. You know,
we done. That's the first thing that popped in my head. I'm like, what, you wrote those people off in the room? Because that's what it seems like to me. You wrote them off.
Yeah,
he's in that room.
That's an acceptable law. They did the numbers. What is it like what's it called? The analytics they do in the NBA, the analytics.
That's
if we get everybody out here, we'll save, 300 kids. At least these 20 in the room. Yeah, that's an acceptable loss. What movie was that? Those are acceptable losses.
That's what
that was Die Hard. That was Die Hard.
Yeah, that's what it sounds like. Yeah, that's what it sounds like. I mean, again, we're speculating, whatever. Once I get the timeline, we'll come back and we'll go hard on that. We got Hood Ninja Fresh in the building. What's good, bro? You know what I'm saying? We was down there, and this is a sharp young man right here, man. We were down at the 500K party. Real cool dude. He's doing big things too, man. Big up to you. I really can't stand unresponsible firearm owners, man. And you're right. There's a lot of them out there. America is loose. America's loose when it comes to this sort of thing. Go ahead.
Oh, go ahead. No, you go ahead.
Oh, Ozzy is saying open carry to me is someone walking around with the wolf as a cane. Oh, as a canine. Yeah, like it's got it with a wolf as a canine walking around. They got that down here too, bro. I ain't gonna lie to you.
I'm like,
got that down here, man.
Hide your shit. You know what I mean? Like, you don't have to wave your gun around to be a boss. Hide your shit.
But there are Americans down here who own wolves, full-blooded wolves in the neighborhoods. First time I ever saw a wolf was at this guy's junkyard. It was a wolf in the hybrids. They had like a hybrid wolves. Yeah, he had a wolf and he had a hybrid wolf. So, dude, Americans are crazy, bro. You making a joke? It's like, nah, they got that down here. It's wolves walking around. And then Hood Ninja Fresh. Yeah, open carry can either make you a target or make you a different to those looking to do harm. Yeah, a deterrent. They can look at you as a deterrent to those looking to do harm. I don't want you to know I'm armed, bro.
Yeah, I mean, it's one thing. Okay, like the dude at the bank, the security guard at the bank with his, his vest on and his handgun, that's a deterrent. All right. If you're a motherfucker just walking around the grocery store with a 6-shooter on your hip, you're a target. And there's a difference. A deterrent makes his presence known. You know what I mean? Like I said, a deterrent, stand there in the doorway, let everybody know, hey, we're armed, we're protected in here. This is what this is. Okay, I got this. Now, like I said, the dude walking around the grocery store just shopping with his wife with a 6-shooter on his hip, hanging down low. I'm just gonna walk. If I'm that kind of guy,
right,
I'm just gonna watch him walk down the aisle. I'm gonna go down the other aisle, wait for him to come around, turn and ask his wife, should I grab the cereal, the Raisin Bran, or the Rice Krispies? And I'm gonna get him.
But think about it. There are people out there who can take your watch off your wrist without you knowing it. People can go into your pocket and take your wallet out of your pocket without you knowing it. How hard would it be for those people to take your pistol? And if it's out like that, like, it's just a bad idea. Open carry is just a bad idea, in my opinion. And then in essence, like he's saying women shouldn't be in the first lines, but I think he means the front lines. Yeah, I mean, there's some women who say they want it, but man, I'm telling you, there are some women who can do it. But again, the exceptions don't make the rule. Like, women don't want to be up there. Like, because here's the thing: go ahead.
I'll tell you this though. I wouldn't have been surprised. It would not surprise me if the person that the border patrol officer that went in there and shot that dude was a woman, because at least she understands that maternal instinct shit. Oh, did I lose you?
No, you didn't. Mia's asked me if I could pick her up early.
Hey, you tell Mia I'm on my way.
I mean, it's probably for her to send that message. She's probably sick, but I didn't see the text. So hey, daddy duties have called. We're about to wrap this up. I got to go get my daughter early because there's something going on at the school. It looks like. So here's the deal. Bottom line, we should absolutely do something about the process to conceal carry. Like it should be maybe not as stringent as California, but it shouldn't be as loose as Texas and Florida and some of these other states. There has to be a happy median. Will this stop this madness? No, it will not stop. I don't care what you do as with purchasing firearms, weapons, long weapons, short weapons, whatever. It does not matter.
Yeah.
Right? The fact that the weapons used in this horrific event were legally purchased, it does not matter. Someone who's crazy like that will get the weapons off the street. You can easily go buy whatever you want in America. You can buy it. You can get it. It's not a problem. So it's not going to stop someone who's dead set on doing this stuff. We need to also put money into mental health. We need to help these people who are having these thoughts. We need to know who these people are so we can try to help them. If we can't help them, then we can go ahead and put them somewhere where they can't hurt themselves or hurt anyone else. These are the things that we should be talking about. And you need to talk about it at the same time. It's just these talking points is what drives me crazy. And y'all going to see this until November. These talking points about these poor children and these family members, these poor parents, they don't have to hear this over and over and over again leading up to the election so somebody else could get into office and do nothing. So I'm definitely a Second Amendment guy. I believe in on our right to bear arms, but I'm also a guy who understands that these rights should come with certain responsibilities. And as a society, we need to make sure that the people who are getting these firearms are properly trained up and they know what they're doing and they've been tested and they get recurrently tested. In other words, they got to come qualifying and this, that, and the third. I really like that idea. You got to go through the course. You got to qualify with every weapon you carry because I carry a lot of different weapons. That would be a lot of time. You know what I mean? I would have to go back for what I carry at least 6 different ones.
Well, nah, you would, you take the class, but then you qualify. So you just be in there with all 6 weapons, just qualifying that day. And then they put it all on your form. But I mean, here's my thing. And you're going to hear this over and over again. The only way to stop a bad guy with a gun is a good guy with a gun. Okay. And I call bullshit on that because the only way to stop a bad guy with a gun is a good guy with a gun and he's trained to use it. And that's the part that needs to be added. A good guy that's trained to use that gun, because a bad guy with a gun, if he's determined to die or he's determined to kill you, there is nothing you can do about it. There is nothing,
Yeah. And I'm going to finish up these chats and then we're going to wrap it up because I have to go get my daughter. Don 007, aren't the school resource officers usually these students on the force? I don't know how that works. I think that the school resource officers, I thought that was an additional duty that the school paid the officer.
That's what I don't know.
In other words, the officer is technically off duty, but it's extra, it's like overtime kind of thing. So I
can find out. Yeah, I can find out. I'll make a call when we're done.
And then Christopher Orr, still in your car. That was for you, Jswans. Like, he's still in the car.
Yeah, that's my man. That's my man.
That's what's up. Oh, shout out. Hey, what's up, Devil Dog? Shout out to you. We got to get you to the range. I hope he all together up here, ain't he? We can take him to the range.
He ain't right, man. He ain't right.
Well, none of the Marines are. All the Marines are kind of little, just like us, just like paratroopers. If you ever go somewhere that's a hot area, right, and America is involved, you're going to find 2 things when you get there. You're going to find paratroopers and Marines because that's who they send.
And the sad part is you'll find that same thing in a strip club.
Yeah, it sure will.
Paratroopers and Marines.
Is that a bad thing? I don't understand. Is that a bad thing?
Except for the Marines, the Marines will be dating them girls trying to marry them, but that's another story.
Yep. And then that's another story. And that's exactly pro training too. I was gonna say that. Yep. And then Knees Watchers in the place. What's good, brother? We wrapping it up now. Thanks for popping in. And for y'all who are here, thanks for rocking with me, man. Please give us a like if you like it. Still trying to get monetized. So if you haven't subscribed, if you want to subscribe, hook your boy up. You know what I mean? I would definitely appreciate that. Knees Watchers, appreciate the stream, brother. crazy what happened in Texas. Yeah, it happened in Texas, happened in Florida, happened in Colorado, happened in California, happened in Ohio. It's a shame. You know what I mean? It happens too much.
Don't blame the gun. That's stupid. All right. Do not.
You got to say that
gun.
again. You got to say that again. All right, yeah. Don't blame the gun because you started moving again and you're all jacked up. But yeah, don't blame the gun, man. Don't that. Hey, listen. I'm gonna tell y'all. Look. Let me move out the way. You see that M14 right there? It ain't gonna do nothing to nobody. It's just right there. A human has to get behind that thing. A human has to man that thing, load that thing because that's not loaded. It's basically a big paperweight right now. They would have to load that thing and do damage. That weapon is not going to do anything to anybody. It'll sit there for 1,000 years if you let it. It's not the gun. It takes an individual to get behind that weapon, load that weapon, turn that weapon on someone and engage. It's not the weapon. I just wanted to get that out there.
Hey man, you want to get that off the screen though? You want to take that down? If I'm at Chippendales, bro, I'm working. All right. I see you left that shit up there on your rant. Yo, Chris, that's fucked up, Chris. Let you know that, bro.
It would be. I had to leave that up there, bro. But I can't wait to meet you, Chris. Hey, thank you everybody for jumping in here, man. I know it was a tough topic. I know it was. I know as men we were supposed to stay stoic, but when it comes to children, I'm sorry, bro. 100% of the time, I'm gonna get with you. You know what I mean? I'm gonna let loose because we must protect children. They ain't did nothing to nobody. You feel me? These kids didn't do nothing. If it is true that law enforcement sat there for 40 minutes to an hour before they decided to go in and engage this insane person, shame on them. Shame on them. And if that is the case, they're gonna have to change their protocols and procedures. Shout out to the Border Patrol agent who went in there and handled business. That's respect to you. That's the real one. That's the real one. You know what I mean? So look, I'm out of here. Just a couple more. The Devil Dog Chris is in here. James will be at Chippendales. Yeah, he probably will be. Chris will be at the door. And he was like, that's my cancer card. Yo, thank y'all so much for coming in here, Brother Doug. Thanks for coming in here, man. I know we got hot and heavy on that, but I respect you, brother. I respect your thoughts, and I see where you was coming from. I just don't agree. Anaz, Don 007, Hood Ninja Fresh, Act Ozzy, everybody who came in here this afternoon on this Friday, Miss AK Lady who showed in, who couldn't stay. Thank y'all for coming through there. Don't let these people turn this into a talking point.
Yeah, no doubt.
Let's get some no nonsense, some common sense laws around who can get firearms and who can't. Protect our rights, protect the Constitution, but let's be smart, y'all. That's the living document. There are amendments for a reason. We might have to drop a new amendment to make it make sense to have a weapon, right? Let's not make it easy for people to hurt people. All right, let's make it more difficult. Yes, that's making it hard for people who are good people, but hey, I don't mind taking an extra. I don't mind qualifying. I don't mind taking a class. I don't mind teaching a class. You dig? So I'm DL Saint, right over here. That's Jswans. This is the DL Saint I Really Want to Know podcast. I'll talk to y'all later. Peace.